my co-hosts, Nick Best and Akim Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight, because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Musclemen's, the creator of Nitro Test. Nitro Test is hands down the most fucking kick-ass pre-workout on the market. The question is, can you fucking handle it? Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am Jon Andersen. With me always, my partners in crime, Nick Best. Unfortunately, Akim Williams cannot be here today. He's tied up doing something with Arnold actually at this time, but it's okay. We have got a killer show for you as always. This guest is a real cool cat. He's a power lifter, very successful, I must say. He's a family man. He's got a beautiful wife and daughter, and he also has a really, really rocking podcast, the S.A.N.E Podcast. Let me introduce our guest, Andy Siar. Welcome to the show. What's going down, my brother?
Jon, as always, I'm just happy to see you. I'm just happy to see you. For some reason, every time I see you, I just have a better day. So happy to see you, Nick. Nick, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
As I told Jon, Jon's been on my show more than anybody. But as I told him last time we did a show together, I feel like I've been watching you since I was in diapers, man. And that's not exactly your age, but you're Mr. Consistent when it comes to strength sports. So I wanted to give you some credit for you're always relevant, and I really appreciate that. I told Jon that when we did the show last time.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, it's the test of time is really one that not a whole lot of people get through. And when you get a decade under your belt, doing well, it's good. Two decades, doing better. Once you get into 3 and 4, it changes. There's a very small school of people left.
Yeah.
So, Melinda, let's start right off talking about your podcast. I love your podcast, even the name. Talk to us about the origin, how to come by. The one thing that you always say, which I love, is good conversation. People are hard up for good conversation. So talk to us, my brother.
Yeah, and as you and I know, I always shout out our guy Matt Vincent for that phrase, because when he was on my show, that's what he said. And it stuck with me, that people are starved for good conversation because there's so much bullshit that goes on. And you don't get straight good, bad, ugly from everybody out there. So my show, it is called the S.A.N.E Podcast. It's a show about nothing and everything. But we cover sports, society, fitness, business, money, you name it. I just did a show last night with a guy from Jersey Jerry from Barstool Sports, talking about his story with heroin, crack cocaine, and now he's a successful, podcaster, content creator for Barstool. So it's like nothing's off the table. And
that sounds like that must have been a crazy show, huh, brother?
Oh, it was great. It was great. Like, we got real deep. I mean, there was a point where, we go left every single time we sit down for an hour, but
absolutely.
That's the whole purpose. I want to bring the person out of the athlete, out of the celebrity. And Jon, everybody knows Jon as big, freaky, muscly dude, but people don't necessarily know Jon as the deep thinker, or Nick as the deep thinker. So giving people a different viewpoint on, meatheads, athletes, celebrities, it's just been really cool, man. I'm really loving doing it. And, it's been a pleasure to have everybody on that I've had.
Yeah. Well, talk to us about some of the interesting guests. Like, you've had Matt Vincent. We've had him too. I mean, I'm sure you had an amazing show with him, just like we did, with some of his knowledge and talking about using psychedelics for recovery, which was talk about a new topic, Yeah. But, you had a lot of shows. Talk to us about, other than Matt, obviously, because we.
Yeah. So
did we lose him?
No, I'm here.
No, John. I think we lost John for a minute.
Oh, we lost John. Okay.
Oh, it flashed out of there. I'm sorry. That was this goddamn. This is the Starlink Wi-Fi. Elon Musk, what is going on, brother? Why do I keep still losing connection? This is like the best goddamn Wi-Fi on the planet, and it still blinks me in my own podcast. Come on, Elon. What's happening, brother?
All right, so we'll give one of these to Elon Musk for right now. But to your question, about the guests. Obviously, Matt is phenomenal. We created a friendship out of 3 hours of podcasting, 3 hours together on a show. Just talking about things that didn't pertain necessarily to athletic competition or to training. And from there, I got, previous to that, I was, had Steffi and Hayden from Hybrid on, and we've cultivated friendships. Steffi is actually someone that's helped me with, some of my anxiety disorder. She talked to me a lot about how, her switching up her athletic performance broke out of her, shell when it came to uncertainty and anxiety and stuff like that. So, and that was all because I spent 2 hours between her and Hayden just getting to know them. And, from there, it's gone to professional athletes, NFL players, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, LGBTQ figures. Shout out to one of my favorite people on this planet, Janae Krosleski. Always a pleasure to sit down with her and pick her brain. And, I would say probably my favorite people, last night with Jersey Jerry from Barstool, I had Renee Montgomery on, who is the owner of the Atlanta Dream and the WNBA. And she's got a phenomenal story as well with giving up her career playing when everything happened with the George Floyd riots, and she decided to opt out of the season, and then she bought the team. So she paved the
wow, love it, baby, love it.
She paved the way for a bunch of people, and then in fitness, I gotta give it out to my guy, the muscle doc, Jordan Shallow. Probably one of the smartest dudes I've ever met, even though he doesn't look like it. Big John, having you on 3 times, again, getting to know different sides of John than I've heard before. And then John Saladino, guy that trains the Hollywood stars and is just as down to earth as they come, and cool. Literally,
he was just recently on, wasn't he?
Yeah, cool's the other side of the pillow. I'm gonna get you guys contacted with him as well. I think he'd be great for you guys to have. But
for sure.
The main thing with, and as you know this, John, is everybody has this same mindset of we're all here to help people, whether it's physical, mental, and emotional. And that's been the theme of my show is, how can I get these people down from the pedestal, so to speak, and humanize everything? And, maybe create something you learn, something you laugh about, or something you think about.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Well, brother, that's one thing I love about your show was we first got on, we weren't talking about picking up any heavy shit. We weren't talking about what we were eating. We went into philosophy almost right away,
Way left.
And so that's what,
Well, which philosophy?
We were just talking about just philosophy, like life philosophies and all sorts of shit. It was like, not so much talking about, just like what they say, not talking about the stuff, when people look, they think, oh, we're going to talk about this. Well, Andy takes one of us on the show and talks about something that people don't expect they're going to hear. And that's what makes it so interesting. So for all of our listeners that have not checked out Andy's show, but you got to check it out. It's good shit. Good
Appreciate
shit.
That.
You're going to get some really, really great information and very entertaining, because you're not going to hear what you think they're going to talk about, which is what's really cool.
Yeah.
I think when we talked in our show, we did our second one, which was really more about what people thought. It was probably less interesting than the first one, which had nothing to do with picking up anything.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, because literally the numbers showed. No one gave a shit about. No one gave a shit about the fitness one. They liked. Okay, this is John, and he's talking about being a good husband and being a good dad, and on the third one that we just did, the butthole story, and it's just You know, the things that.
The what?
Oh, context. Yeah.
What is this?
I'll let you tell it, Andy.
So
I gotta hear this.
We were talking about training for like, I don't know, all of 10 minutes last time, and John goes into this picture, the story of a picture that he found of a guy who prolapsed his butthole so bad that like his colon was hanging out of it, and it's like, so that and then the first show we did where nothing was about training, it was literally just like two dudes shooting the shit. You know, that proved, and it again goes back to what Matt said, like people are starved for good, meaningful conversation, no matter what the fuck the topic is.
Yeah. Yeah. And your show is like perfect for that statement. When you said that, I remember Matt said that to us on when he came on with us. But when you said it, your show is symbolic of that. That's why it stuck with me when you said it more, because I mean, Matt, totally correct. Great conversation, a lot of really interesting info. But your show is literally, okay, I'm gonna take a turn you don't expect, and we're gonna have a great show about something you don't think we're gonna talk about. So it has to be good conversation. You know what I mean?
So I look at it as like business, right? So if I'm gonna sell somebody a service at my facility here, I need to know something intimate about them. Same thing with the podcast. If I'm gonna sell this show, like Nick, I need to know something intimate about you. Like, do you sit or stand when you wipe your ass, for example?
Stand.
Attaboy. That's the only way to go. So now we're friends. Now we can continue to talk because we got that out of the way.
That's it.
I think the best part was after having elbow surgery on both my elbows at the same time, my loving wife installed a bidet for me because she was afraid I wasn't going to be able to reach.
I thought you were going to say that Callie actually did the deed for it. I was like, oh,
that's
boy,
where
that's
I thought it was
love.
going too.
Well, no, it's not like Alexandra Hall, who's a saint, because back when Eddie was 440, he tells a story.
He couldn't wipe his ass. Yeah.
No, not that. He missed the toilet.
Oh.
And it went down the side of the toilet, and he got up and left. And she came in and cleaned it up and didn't say a word to him. That woman is an angel. Absolute
God.
angel.
Since we're on these kind of stories, we got to bring another one to the table. So, because
sorry, Eddie.
When you have and I'm going to join the party with him, so it's all good. When you have a saint like that in your life, it is wonderful. With Terry, she's that one for me. I just got home from a brutal tour in Japan. I was tired, and I came home and literally just fell asleep. And I slept like, it was like, you get home in the morning, but I slept all the way through to the night. Well, about 6 a.m, I wake up and I'm like, God, I'm feeling kind of weird, and I'm kind of sticky. So I give myself a fucking Dutch oven, and I'm like, oh no. And I had shit my pants and just probably laid in it for hours, And so I look over at sleep, and she's sleeping soundly, right? And I thought, okay, how am I going to get this cleaned up without her knowing? Almost like I was a kid, scared I shit. Like the bully in the schoolyard was going to beat me up for shit in the bed, And then I thought, I looked at her, and I looked down there again and smelled it again. I thought, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm like, honey, wake up. I need help. And she literally got me up, put me in the shower, had a pair of boxers on. We just put me in with the boxers, pushed him down, rinsed me off, and she completely cleaned the whole thing up. I mean,
wow.
If that's not love, I don't know what is. Just like the Eddie Hall story. So you got to, for all of you angel ladies out there, I thank you.
Yeah, Terry, you're a saint, just like the rest of them. We all knew that, but now we confirmed it.
Now it's confirmed.
Yeah. Well, brother, you mentioned a minute ago, which I think is a great topic. In today's society, we're finding that more and more people have this, but are not comfortable speaking about it. I for one, deal with it all the time. Anxiety, and I've dealt with it from the time I was young. And for me, my training is a big part of what keeps me sane. But to us about yours and how you deal with it, how you manage it, because people need to hear this shit. There are too many people that are afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, you obviously know this. I'm an open book for whatever. But with, with that for me, I'll start with the training part. The training part has always kept me grounded. It's always been something that I never get too high. I never get too low. When I'm training, I'm Andy. I'm good.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I used to compete in powerlifting. So back when I was competing, and the last time I did was 2013, I, at the time, had the third highest squat in the raw wrapless category at the 242 weight class of 716 pounds. And I never was nervous walking up
At a
to a
light
load.
body weight, I'll add. That was a very light body weight too.
Yeah, it was at 240,
Yeah.
and at the time, like I said, it was number 3. Now it's just a warm up for people, but I'm hanging on to that. But when I looked at a load, when I looked at a bar, when I looked at a dumbbell, it never made me anxious. It always made me have this feeling of when I was done, I'm gonna feel better.
Yeah.
And so I still train heavy to this day. I mean, John, you've seen some of the stupid things that I do.
Loading the bar up to where he's got to hold it together with bands very regularly.
Yeah, like four rubber bands. It's ridiculous. I mean, Nick, you know how it goes.
Oh yeah, totally.
But so that
totally get it.
That for me is like, that's the way when I know I'm having a bad day, it's when I don't train, because training for me is a way to release. And there's a story that I learned, and this shout out to Chase Hoskins, who I had on my show, but he told me a story of Spartan warriors, right? So they were taught to be fearless and emotionless because they were the baddest warriors to ever walk the planet. I am not saying I am that, by the way. Please don't take this the wrong way. But what they did was, before and after battle, they would cry. They would let their emotions out, because then when they walked in and faced their opponent, there was nothing on their mind except killing them and moving forward. So, when some people talk of training or of whatever it may be as therapeutic, it's not therapy, but therapeutic. It's a way to release any emotions. And then when you get back to your day, you don't take those emotions out on your spouse, on your kids, on your coworkers, things like that. And like, I know firsthand that the combination of training, and I'm an avid marijuana user because of my anxiety and panic attacks. Like, when I have that down and when I'm taking care of myself that way, I'm better with my family. I'm better at work. I'm better to my workers. And, I just end up having a better time. And like, John, I've told you this, like, I've had panic attacks so bad, I've been on my knees crying, like not knowing what to do. My kids are watching, and it's like,
wow,
but then after minutes or hours, depending on how severe it is, like, I might even be able to go train. And then when I can go train, I'm like, I'm good. I'll literally walk in the door, grab my wife, give her a nice big hug, big kiss, like, hey babe, I'm good now. It's just one of those things that, like, it just settles everything down. And then on top of that, my wife, she's the best person I know. She's the one who will kick me in the ass if I'm not training or if I'm not doing these things, to remember, like, hey, fucko, we have, a daughter and a son here that you got to take care of. Like, go outside, go to the gym for an hour, come back and reset. So, the combination of training, of remembering the feeling of release. It's almost like sex, right? When you're done with sex, all you want to do is just,
yeah.
That's the way I feel with training.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's just there's not a better feeling in the world to me. And it doesn't have to be heavy weights. It doesn't have to be, bleeding from the eyeballs because the pressure's so bad, but it can just be movement. And, I think the common theme that people are being more aware of these days is like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing with the barbell. If you're touching a barbell, we belong to the same community. And it's a great community. Like, one thing I've noticed about this community, and back to the powerlifting days, is like, and granted, social media has fucked this up a little bit, but like, probably 80% of people are going to sit like we're sitting right now and just talk, just chat, just say, how can we be better? What are you doing that I'm not? What are you doing that maybe I can help you with? And it's like, it's been such a great place to cultivate meaningful relationships. And like, even acquaintances. Like, I've never met Jon in person, but I feel like I've known him for 10 years.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. There's a bond, there's a commonality that we share, that we understand, that we can relate and bond quite easily.
Yeah.
You know?
And the one story I'll tell to that, and then I'll stop rambling, is when I first met Eddie Cohen. It was at my last meet. Everybody loves Eddie.
Great guy.
I got my squat. And it was the number I wanted. It was, like I said, it was my biggest accomplishment in powerlifting. And I feel this, like, the tap on my back, right? But it's not a normal tap. It feels like a fucking gorilla paw is tapping me on the back. And I turn around, and it's Eddie, who's this tall. And I know who he is, but I've never met him. And he just reaches out his big old banana hand and says, "Hey, that was great. Nice job." And I'm like, why is this fucking guy coming up to me? I don't even know him. And then I talked to him for a little bit, and it's just like, oh, this is who he is. He's just that type of dude. You know, Mike O'Hearn, the same way. I met him. I have a picture of him holding my son when he was like 8 months old.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that the best thing I ever got out of powerlifting was and that's probably actually been more beneficial to me than organized sports, was the ability to grow my own circle and grow my relationships with acquaintances and friends how I want it. Yeah. Because nothing is forced on you.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of rewind and go talk to us about, obviously we're shifting into powerlifting. Talk to us about how did it all start? What was it that made you one day want to lift up really heavy shit?
Well, pick up stuff and put it down.
Yeah. I don't know.
Pick it up, put it down.
Seemed like something a guy who's kind of slow but good at sports could do. No, actually, so I had been training since I was like 14. My dad took me to the YMCA around then. You know, started training for football. You know, all state in high school. Went to college to play. When I got to college, my strength and conditioning coach, you guys might know the guy, Jeremy Frey. So he was my strength and conditioning coach when I got to college. My sophomore year, I get a text from him one day, and I worked like down in the weight room for him, and he texts me and he says, "Hey, can you come down and help me with something?" Sure, no problem. So little did I know, he was helping me. He asked me to help him get into his fucking multiply squat suit, which I hate to this day. It's the worst job ever, getting somebody with giant 34-inch legs into these things. So I get, do that, and I watch him. He's working with like 1030 and chains on the squat, and I'm like, that's cool. I didn't know anything about gear, but I'm like, that's cool. That's a lot of weight. I don't care what it is. So we actually grew a friendship. We're still friends to this day. And he talked to me after our senior year was done with football. He's like, you should do a meet. Him and his brother were going to do one, and he was like, you should do a meet with us. I'm like, fucking okay, whatever. I ended up not being able to do the same meet as them, but I did one, and I did it in single ply, which was just weird because I didn't have briefs on. I didn't know what the hell I was doing in a suit, but so, and then after I did that meet, Frey contacted me and was like, "Hey, you did well, yada yada," in his way of saying it. He's an asshole, but it's okay. So I started training with a powerlifting group, and then from that first meet to the second one I did, I competed raw from there on out, and I added 60 pounds to my squat in one cycle, going from single ply to raw.
Wow.
So I squatted 606 at my first raw meet in 2011.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was hooked. I was like, okay, I can do some things.
It's a great feeling, isn't it? It's
never
all of a sudden it just thing just wakes you up. You're so happy to do it again.
Oh man, it was cool. I'm on stage and people are cheering. It brought me back to football. I was like, I'm an athlete again. So I did that. And by the way, I wore cutoff flannels before any of you fucks thought it was cool. Go back and look at my Instagram. It's on there from 2010 or 11. So yeah, I squatted 606. I could never bench worth of shit, but that's okay. And then in 2 years, I squatted 716 without knee wraps. I had the privilege of working under Chad Wesley Smith for that meet prep, which was phenomenal. That guy put me through more volume than I have ever done. I was just absolutely toasted every session. But, and then when I got hurt after my last meet, I screwed up my L5S1. I didn't train lower body for a while, but I still kept in touch with the sport of powerlifting, and I still do today. I root for it to grow bigger, just like any other strength sport, strongman, CrossFit, bodybuilding. I want exposure for it because people don't know the actual work that goes into it. They just assume that it's, this day and it's that effort. Well, you don't know the other 12 to 16 weeks. Like when I would watch World's Strongest Man, Nick, and I'd see you on there, I'd be like, okay, well, it's like a week show. And then I actually got to know what strongman is. Like, oh, fuck, like that. Okay, yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah. But, so, and again, it just goes back to the community thing, man. It's something that will draw me in every single time. And, when I think I'm not going to pay attention anymore, I'm like, I find something cool, or I find, one of these like mutant 19-year-olds that pulls 400 kilos. And I'm like, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of those kids coming out now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Speaking of pulling, Nick, how's the lat? Are you healed up from that?
I'm pretty healed up from that. I deadlifted 725 last week. So It's coming back. This week, I'm going to try to pull 755. So we'll see how that goes. Going to do a meet May 1st. And
nice.
Try to keep like an 18-year-old, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
Right.
Trying. Well, I'm a little over 9 months after the surgery, and I'm at probably where the doctor thought I'd be in 18 months.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, baby.
So it's coming along.
Good.
It's coming along well. I want to keep the streak of 800-pound squats and 2,000-pound plus totals alive. It's at 25 years straight. So I want to hit 26 this year.
That's unbelievable. I mean, like
I said, my ultimate goal is to do that for 30 years.
Jesus. So I'm only 33 years old, by the way. So like I said, been watching you for a long time. So that's ridiculous.
Thanks. Yeah.
But I hope you stay healthy. I hope it happens.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty exciting.
Well, you're.
Go ahead. Oh,
John's free. John's got stage fright. He's freezing up again.
Again? Oh, John, don't be afraid. It's going to be okay.
It's okay. I got a real. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm pretty excited. Andy Bolton's trying to beat my deadlift record.
Okay.
Because I have the biggest deadlift of all time over the age of 50 at 815 pounds.
Jesus.
And so he's trying to beat that, and I tore it trying to go 821. And that was going to be my second attempt. My goal was to go 859 that day. And I started pulling it. They come off the floor. I'm like, oh, I got this. And then just went bang. I was like, well, maybe not. So,
I remember seeing the video, and I'm just like, I'm not going to train today. I won't train anyway.
My brother, I mean, this whole thing is just going to it's just going to propel you further forward. Usually when a situation like this happens, you come back better because of the things you learn through it. And look at what you're doing with your training. You're moving twice as fast as the doctors are predicting. And my apologies for my Wi-Fi. Elon, we're going to have a conversation about this, goddammit. Before we got on the show, I was actually talking to Ben, our producer. Hey, is my Wi-Fi okay? And the last show we did on my Wi-Fi, and we got through. But this one, how many times have I've dropped on my end? I've actually dropped it a couple, but thank God, Andy, you were talking, so I don't think anything got interrupted. But
no,
anyway.
No, I think it's only been like 2. So
yeah, which is sorry about that. That's unacceptable. But what are you going to do?
We love you. It's okay.
So when we were talking I think it was I can't remember. Maybe it was the second show we did, brother. And forgive me if I'm using the wrong term, but we were talking about the industry and how I believe that your term was there's nothing authentic. Is that the term that you used? Yeah. So talk to us about that, because we believe the same stuff, and I love to hear you talk about that.
Yeah. And I mean, as you know, like the people I speak of are the people who are authentic. It's the people who I contact, who I have on my show. I want the people who are real. And the people who are real are going to be the ones who take ownership of their own fuck ups and their own things that they might put out that are wrong. Because a lot of people will put out, like this new thing where they're trying to reinvent the wheel, which is great. Put your things out there, but you have to accept criticism if it's proven to be factually wrong. And these people who we all know most of the same circle, are going to be the ones that say, yep, good point, I'm out. But at the same time, I think, when it comes to authenticity in fitness and strength sports, it's like, you, in this day and age of social media, you don't need to create a character, right? You just need to put out who you are. And if people follow, great.
That's it.
If they don't, that's okay. But what you're doing is you're maxing out your universe that you create. So like I told Matt, and I'm gonna use him as an example again. He was telling a story or an example about how like he was with Rob and Dana Bailey, and he was like, "Man, I want to be that." I'm like, "You are that. You have your version of that." So it's like you've maxed out the community of Hate Brand, of the Matt Vincent brand. John's maxed out the community, maybe not exactly, but like John is maxing out his community. Nick, you're maxing out the community of Strongman. I'm doing whatever the fuck I'm doing, still trying to find out which yellow brick road I'm taking. But it's like you figure out your niche, you crush, you kill because you're authentic, and that creates authentic relationships. It creates authentic following, and it gets rid of people who are gonna just like be the ones under the table giving you a reach around to stroke your ego, which we don't want. And maybe we do want it, but but
I guess I'm good. Depends on who's reaching around.
Well, if the lights are off, it's just a hand.
Oh my god!
We got entertained, and that's what we're doing, baby. That's for sure. I love it, brother.
And that's why that's why, John. I love talking to you, because it's like, no matter, even if we're saying something stupid and off the rails, it's just authentically us.
Yeah.
It's not playing to a facade. It's not playing a part. It's like, hey, this is what you get. And I was telling Jerry last night when I had him on the show. I told him, I was like, when I heard your story, dude, I was crying. I was crying because I was proud of you, and I didn't even fucking know you.
Yeah.
But it's like, I see genuine in people, and I hope people see genuine in me. And it's like, the people who are authentic in this industry are the ones who are going to give free game to a point. Obviously, we all have to make money, but like you, John, for example, you put out tips and stories and all this stuff, and it's free game. And if you don't pay attention, first of all, you're an idiot, because you could pick up free knowledge. But it's like, you do that because you have so much to get to hold on to still, but you also just want to put out positivity to the world. And it's like, totally. If you could put out one good thing, you could put out something to your 100,000 followers, and you get one person that's like, hey dude, this drastically changed the way I train, eat, blah, blah, blah. Mission accomplished.
When you boil it all down, if to have a positive effect on people around you, and even for society for that matter, is something that it's kind of short. People need to realize that, hey, if we all help each other, you're creating a positive vortex, a positive vibe, and we need more positivity circulating. Yep. There's way too much negativity. We get that all the time on social media. Some guy will come in and just say something so harsh, and I'll say, brother, you're going to be much happier if you spread positivity. And a lot of times they'll come back and they'll say, hey, how are you doing today? And that's awesome, because they're basically speaking, but they don't know how to do it positively. They've been kind of trained mentally to reach out with a negative vibe rather than a positive vibe, and that's silly. You could, if everybody reached out with positivity, we'd be at a different spot right now.
Yeah. One of the things that stuck with me through doing my show is I had Bryant McFadden, who's 2-time Super Bowl champion, on the show, and he's on CBS, he's on TV, and we're having a conversation. He's like, something I try to do every day is just have a conversation with somebody I don't know, because it's going to make my day better. Because either I know I'm not going to like that person, or that person will impact me in a positive way. And it's like, there's no standing at this fork in the road. I'm like, that's very profound. And
that is,
for people on social media, if you're going to comment on something and you don't agree with it, come at it from an educational standpoint. Just be like, hey, I don't agree with this, but this is why. Can we have a discussion? 99% of people are going to say yes, absolutely. But if you come at it like, hey, fuck you, you're an idiot, you know, that's blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're a turd. Just go home.
Just literally, and
know?
that's what they're doing is they're just throwing turds, which is really just they're throwing pieces themselves. Versus if they were just to come at it from a different position, it would be so much different. I totally agree, brother. That's
100%. I would probably answer a lot
goes,
more questions that way.
Yeah, too. And that goes right to the authenticity.
I get a lot of them, and I'm just like,
yeah, and it's like, I mean, I don't have near the following either you guys do, but even I get them once in a while. I'm like, what? Why? Just, you know, just come at me with like a, hey, let's have a conversation about it. I will take time out of my day because I'm either going to learn something or learn that I don't like you.
You know, and when I look at it, when I see that negative shit floating around, I think, you know, it's my duty to try to turn one of these people around today, you know, and so they're expecting you're going to throw something negative back, and you come back with something that's, you know, maybe eye-opening, or hey, you're going to be happy. Or sometimes they're so bad, I'll just say, are you okay, brother? You sound like you're having a hard day. You know, and
then they don't know what to do.
They're thinking they're trying to start a fight, but you won't fight. And then you know, and a lot of them will take a different position, and for me, that's really cool. I love it. You know,
I'm too old to fight with people on the internet. Fuck that.
That's right. Well, brother, I know that you got yours. We don't have too much more time with you, but I got a couple more questions I want to ask.
Yeah, roll them off.
So let's pretend that we've got a time machine. You can jump in that bad boy, just like the movie Back to the Future. You can dial in the time and date and where you want to go, but you can go back and only talk to yourself. What is the you of today? Where in your life timeline are you going to go back to, and what are you going to say to yourself?
Shit, that's a good one.
Good.
I think I'm going to go back.
To get you thinking. I love to get you thinking. You're a great guy to hear. You can hear you think out loud. I love it.
You know, I think I go back to right before I had kids, and I would tell myself, don't have expectations, because the chaos of life with young kids is what you should expect. And chaos is the one true thing in this world that is completely fair. It does not discriminate against anybody. Everybody deals with it. So I would just go back and tell myself, like, embrace it, man. Embrace the uncertainty, embrace the craziness, and just take it in, breathe, and, you know, handle your business. Take care of home base. That's what I'd tell myself.
I love it, brother. I love it. That's really, really, I love it. I mean, that's a really, really great angle to take. And again, having you talk, I know is going to be helping many people, because you got great perspectives, brother.
I hope so. If I help one, my job's done.
So you, as this person, especially with your show, you're doing a lot of great things with having a lot of great topics being brought to the forefront. What is it when it's all over, when the physical you part is gone physically? What is it that you want to be remembered for?
That's going to be a cheesy answer, but I want to be remembered for my kids being good people. And, you know, there's a like a philosophy or a way of life in Nordic times, in the Viking times, where the son would always try to leave, or the father, excuse me, would always try to leave a way for his kids to erase the father's name and get theirs to be remembered. And not in a bad way, but it's like you want each generation to be progressively better. And, like, you know, if I can, whether it's athletics, wealth, you know, whatever it may be, I just want to be remembered for, hey, my kids, Riker, my son, Wyatt, my daughter, they did some really cool shit. And, you know, wherever the fuck I am after I pass away, I'll have a smile on my face with that one, even if I'm buried face down. So anybody that doesn't like me can kiss my fat ass. That's all I got to
say. No, but that's an absolute. If more people took parenting their children that way, this world would be a far better place. There's far too many parents that have kids. These kids didn't ask to be born. You made a conscious decision, one way or another, to have a child. And it's your responsibility, not the government's, not anyone else's. It's your responsibility, like it or not, to raise that child and turn them into a good person. I mean, it's the sole responsibility of kids not turning out well is usually their bad parents.
100%.
So,
And I would add one more thing to that. It's like, you're not a bad parent if your kid fucks up, and you're not
true.
a bad parent if
Agreed.
your kid has a bad patch in their life. And it's like and the kid's not a bad kid either. You have to understand that accepting the mishaps, accepting your kids screwing up, accepting you screwing up as a parent, like, roll with it, man.
Yeah.
There's a difference between doing something like spur in the moment that's bad and going out and selling $1 million worth of cocaine. One is absolutely 100% intentional.
Yeah, and one is just kind of a at the moment decision. It may not have been the right one, but it wasn't premeditated.
Right.
Yeah, it's not premeditated. I mean, good people do bad things occasionally, and not intentionally. It just happens. There's a difference between that and going and being a person that is actually trying to, destroy society.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, brother.
And I want to add to that one more point. Like, people like people like Jon, people like Matt, 2 examples that just put out positivity all fucking day. Like, that's the type of people that I want. That's the type of people that I love to be able to text and be like, hey man, how you doing? Thanks for putting something out today that resonated with me.
Yeah.
And it's like those type of people, whether you're raising the next generation or not. Like, I know Matt's not having kids, but like, he's impacting people who do have kids. That's just as important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's crazy. It's just always the way it works. Find some really good groove of conversation right when our time buzzer's going off. So I know you got to go, Andy, but that just tells us that we're going to do another one, because when there's not enough time to fit in what we want to do, it just means we have number 2 coming in the mail.
Anytime.
So we're definitely going to have you back. But I got to tell you, brother, it's great to have you on the show. Can't wait to have you back. Always great to you. I feel the same way. When you pop up on the screen, it just makes me get a big smile on my face.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I feel like I've known you for a really long time. Nick, it's a pleasure to get to meet you as well. And I look forward to keeping talking with you guys. And I'm a avid listener and watcher of the show. So, keep pumping it out. And, again, what you guys do is great. And, just keep bringing people together, man. That's why we're all here.
That's all you can do to make the world a better place.
So before we wrap up, Nick, do you have anything you want to drop with Andy before we go? Or are we good to go?
It was an absolute pleasure meeting you today. One thing I will say is, if you don't meditate, give that a try as well. That really helps center me and focus me, and keeps me from having, stressful issues as well. I mean, it made a big difference in my life as well. That would be the only advice I have to offer in that direction, plus the weights.
Yeah, so, I appreciate that. I'm actually gonna DM you here in a little bit and just pick your brain, but I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you. And guys, we're gonna do this again.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
my best to Callie, to Terry.
Thank you.
To all the kids. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong, and stay winning. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, there you have it, everyone. There is another edition of Legends of Iron. We've got a great guest who's bringing up some great points, having great conversation. Andy, thank you for coming on. For all of those of you that are watching, we're here to inspire you. We're here to be versions of yourself. So thanks for listening. Tune in next time. There's another edition of Legend of Iron. We'll see you soon.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscleman, the creator of Nitro Tests. Nitro Test is hands down the most fucking kick-ass pre-workout on the market. If you fucking want some, come fucking get some. Can you handle it?